On December the 10th, 1930, a team of people set off from Salalah in southern Oman to try and win a race, and the race was to become the first person to cross the biggest sand desert on Earth. Because in 1930, the North Pole had been conquered, the South Pole had been conquered. People were trying to get to the summit of Everest, and the last great challenge on Earth was to cross the biggest sand desert on Earth. So in 1930, an Englishman and an Omani set off from southern Oman with the purpose of crossing the empty quarter. And on December the 10th this year, 85 years later, myself as an Englishman and two Omanis will be trying to recreate that first ever crossing. The problems we will face will be very different problems to the original journey. The original journey, they literally walked into nothing. There was no map at all. So it was constant uncertainty for them. And the biggest challenge being finding wells for the camels, because if those wells were full of sand, the likelihood of you dying was very real. For us, the challenge will be that, like human beings, camels have gone soft these days. They're not working animals. So for us to do 1,300 kilometres, 50 marathons, day after day after day after day, the challenge will be, will the camels be up to that? Because the camels will be carrying most of our supplies, and certainly our experience with camels in the desert has been that often after several days you're actually pulling the camel, and it should be the other way around. So we will have sandstorms, we'll have sub-zero temperatures at the time of year that we set off at night. But the biggest worry for me is the durability and the resilience of our camels. Primarily, to put the spotlight on someone who I thought was an incredible man. And he was an Englishman who was born in a little village just outside Bristol called Pill. And he ended up being in the civil service in Mesopotamia, and somehow ended up being a financial advisor to the Sultan of Oman in the late 1920s. And he went from a very humble background. His mum and dad ran the post office in Pill, to being a global sensation. When he arrived in Doha, the capital of Qatar, in 1931, it made the front page of the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Times in London, because the world was obsessed with Arabia at the time, thanks to T. Lawrence of Arabia and all the obsession with him. And so this man is now long forgotten, really.